freedom of choice, freedom of time, freedom of speech. I'm with my kids. My son is homeschooled. My daughter lives with me, works with me full time. And to me, we've created this ecosystem. It wasn't easy, right? It was discipline, consistency with data to get there. But we created an ecosystem where basically we learned how to invest properly.
I love the concept of holistic freedom. Talk to us a little bit about that. Welcome to Start With a Win, where we unpack leadership, personal growth and development, and how to build a better business. Let's go. Are you ready to ditch the 9-to-5 grind and unlock true freedom? Get ready with an inspiring conversation with Coach JV. Coming to you from Start With a Win headquarters at Area 15 Ventures, it's Adam Contos with Start With a Win. Coach JV is a serial entrepreneur, financial expert, and personal growth advocate who's passionate about helping others achieve true financial freedom and live life on their own terms. He's the founder of the 3T Warrior Academy, a community dedicated to empowering individuals with the knowledge and tools to create lasting wealth and well-being. Coach JV is an amazing man as well. Coach, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's such an honor, Adam. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Let's dive right in. I mean, everybody has this foundation story. A lot of them are struggles. A lot of them, experiences that have built us to where we are today. Take us back. How did you get to where you are here? Because I know you started in the corporate world. You bought yourself a paycheck someplace, hit some rough times. Give us a flyover of where do you come from?
Yeah, I think that's the important part because you can talk about the accolades, but I think the beginning is more important than the end because people can see themselves in the story. So I'm going to go all the way back 18 years ago, December 18th, 2006. I attempted suicide due to a massive opiate addiction. And wow. I woke up from the attempted suicide to, I'll spare the whole story, but to a book called The Secret. And that's where this whole journey started. Read a book called The Secret, Thoughts Become Things. And, at that point, maybe I had an advantage. I was on my back looking up. I had lost everything. I was a horrible father, couldn't take care of my daughter. And I started to do affirmations and vision boards. And from that point, I ended up getting a job at a bank, most unlikely place. And that's where my journey really, really started. And I started just to apply these principles over and over again, discipline and consistency. Ended up moving up to a vice president at a bank really quickly. And then very, very quickly after that, while I was going through banking school, I started to feel this feeling of this isn't life, man. The clocking in, clocking out, chasing that next BMW, the bigger house, the keeping up with the Joneses, and went through a great awakening. In August 2017, I walked out of a high-paid vice president job, and I thought it was going to be all easy. And I got rocked, and I lost my money twice in the process, and that was the greatest things that could ever have happened to me. Finally got it going. And then 2020, I have a Warrior Academy, a bunch of different companies. We had the Warrior Academy, which is a gym. And that was our only company at the time. And pandemic hit and they came and shut our business down and locked our doors because we were a gym. And that's where everything changed for me. So over the since 2020 to now, the current day, my life is radically transformed. I live a completely different life, freedom, spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Awesome. Where are you located at? Where was the gym at?
I'm in the facility now. It's just much bigger. Mesa, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I'll be out that way next week. So
awesome. Stop by.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of good gyms around there. That's for sure. I got to check yours out, man. Hey, let's dive into this. So you got into the corporate world. A lot of people, you spent 11 years in the corporate world. A lot of people get into that and they feel like they're stuck. Mm-hmm. And, it's a grind every day. And they're going, all right, I've got this entrepreneurial bug. I want to do something. Yeah. You had it before you got into the corporate world, right?
I did. Yep.
And then you went corporate, safety of a paycheck, right? Yeah. And then you said, enough of this. What did you do after that? That you got into the gym after you left the banking space? Is that correct?
Yeah, great question. So I have always had an entrepreneurial bug, but I got into the 9-to-5 paycheck, and also I had developed I was making well over 6 figures, and so the jump out of corporate America was even harder. I'm getting these huge paychecks every 2 weeks, bonuses, 401k, golden handcuff plans, all that stuff. And I just realized that's not how I want to live my life. Something didn't feel right. And so, I left in 2017. I jumped out with no net, no plan. There was no plan B. It was only plan A. And throughout that process, quickly and very fast, I had to cash out my 401k. I had to sell my dream home. It wasn't I wasn't ready for the entrepreneurship, which I'm so glad I went through that because it built the resilience and what I'm able to help with people with today and teach them. But yeah, I lost everything through that process. And so what I always recommend to people is if you're going to take that leap of faith, slowly start building the infrastructure outside before you completely disrupt your family's life. Because it was very disruptive. It's what I needed, and it's how I operate, but it was very disruptive to my family.
Wow. And you built this kind of this insatiable hunger for growth and personal development at that point. I mean, tell us about that, because, when you go into the entrepreneurial space, vastly different than the corporate space. Corporate space, you can get by every day just by picking things up in conversations or meetings. But when you leave that, you have to be a sponge. You got to be hungry and, I don't want to say angry, but super aggressive in your education personally. Did that change in your world, or were you already that way?
Just to be transparent, I was already that way. I was pretty driven. I was a competitive bodybuilder before I committed suicide. And so I was a very driven person. I was always driven to push hard and to be disciplined. I went in the military, so I think that's where I got it from. Also, the way that I grew up too, I was kind of in a fight or fleet mode all the time. And so I think it was ingrained inside of me. But I feel these skills can be developed. And I always tell people a couple things. Knowledge without wisdom is dangerous, number one. Discipline and consistency with data makes you deadly, right? So you can study business all day, but until you get in the trenches, until you take the hits, until you lose a business, until you have team members walk out on you, you're not going to gain wisdom, right? So you just have to sometimes go for it, right? And then I always tell people, you don't need more motivation. You don't need another YouTube video. You don't need another Coach JV podcast, whatever it is. You need to get disciplined, and you need to do something consistently enough so you can measure the data. And it is an appetite. Like every day I wake up, I'm like, I have a very, very strong why and purpose. And I think that's very important because, I go to the gym very early. I'm not excited to go to the gym in the morning. I would rather stay in bed. I'd rather be comfortable, but it's my purpose that keeps me disciplined and consistent. I get motivated when I accomplish my purpose.
That's awesome. And for everybody that's thinking about going to the gym, I got news for you. Nobody likes going. But we like after we've gone is the thing. I mean, it's, 5:30 this morning. I was right up above where I'm sitting right now. We have a gym above our studio here. It's a pretty amazing place, and it gets you out of the house. I like a home gym, but I like a gym away from home better because it's someplace you have to take the step to go do. You mentioned a couple words that I want to unpack here with you. Discipline and consistency. Yeah. Tell me how those have played into your life, and what you've built around those words that you would recommend to other people.
Yeah, it is the two most. So we have a financial service. We have quite a few companies now. And so that is our motto in all of our companies. Discipline and consistency with data makes you deadly, right? So everything you do is only the accumulation. So discipline, disciple. So if you look in your life financially, spiritually, mentally, relationship, it shows you what you're a disciple of, right? So if your relationship is struggling, I could easily coach somebody and say, well, what are the disciplined activities you are doing or not doing to have that type of relationship, right? So if someone's struggling financially, I can easily see what they're a disciple of. So we take that word disciple and we say we're a discipline of. So when I look at my life, if something's struggling, that means I'm not being disciplined or consistent within that area. So everybody tries to come up with these like magic pills and all these new systems and stuff. It's very simple, right? Everything, I always say, knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. There's knowledge out there. Numbers don't lie. And so, for example, I run a financial services company. We know if we talk to 10 clients, one's going to come on board. And you make about $1,000 if you talk to one client. So if you want to make six figures, you need to talk to 1,200 clients that year. The numbers don't lie, right? So when I'm sitting with an agent, I'm like, well, how many people have you talked to? Well, I talked to one or two this week. I'm like, so it's not that you don't have the skills. You're just not disciplined enough. So discipline goes into every area of your life, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. It's the model to get anywhere you want to go. And so I think everybody's in a rush to get there. But if you do disciplined, consistent activities, and then if you're able to measure the data, then you just look at the activity and the effectiveness. So we've put that model in all of our companies, our fitness, our mindset, and my spirituality as well. And it works in every area of my life.
That's amazing. I mean, it's interesting when you look at this 1 out of 10 clients situation, and it's fascinating having, a lot of people that listen to this are in sales. a lot of entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, that no is so powerful in your world. And it's, I heard this quote that just sticks in my head every single day. And it's the greatest risk is taking no risk.
Yep.
When it comes down to it, if we're not out there making those numbers work for us, because you're right, it's all about the data. So let's unpack a little bit about, first of all, tell us about your companies. Give us a flyover real quick of all the different companies that you've got going on.
Yeah, we went from completely broke, losing everything in 2020 that took down our system. So I want to explain what changed for me. Like in that moment, I drew a line in the sand. I was like, this will never, ever happen to my family again, ever. I became more committed to the pain of change than staying the same. I had to rewire the foundation because I kept ending up in the same situation. It came from deep-rooted subconscious mind programming. And then I got super disciplined and consistent. So from that point in 2020, I developed a financial services company in the insurance arm of organization. I have 2 education companies. We teach financial literacy. I teach men how to get your shit together. In one of my companies, we have a software company that created a crypto app. We have a podcast company. I have a beard company, a clothing company. But all the companies that I created were based on things that I really, really enjoy doing. And that changed everything for me. Every company I created just to make money failed. But every company I've created now from 2020 and beyond that I love to do, that I'm passionate about, I know it's cliche. If you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. It is true. It is absolutely true. So every company that I own and I run, I love doing it. It's things that I do. Like I have a beard oil company. I have a beard. I have a clothing company. I love clothes. I love jewelry. And so I developed companies that I love and I'm passionate about. So I think that goes back to I know it goes back to the corporate America thing. We're taught to go to school, get a job, get a 401k. We stop dreaming. We stop setting goals. And what that does is it gets us out of the disciplined, consistent activities that got us to that job or to college to get there.
It's interesting when you say that. I've had lunch with so many different of my peers lately, some different friends who are in different corporate environments. And I hear the same thing from everybody in the corporate environment. Here's where my 401k is, which means I have to work this many more years before I can retire. I'm thinking, you're looking at it all wrong there, buddy. So, it's what opportunity do I have to do great things for my family and myself? And I love what you're doing with combining freedom with that. The 3T Warrior Academy, one of your businesses, I'd love for you to unpack that a little bit more, but you focus on more than just financial success there. And I love the concept of holistic freedom.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is my main mission, is to teach people. I want people to feel what I'm feeling right now. Freedom of choice, freedom of time, freedom of speech. I'm with my kids. My son is homeschooled. My daughter lives with me, works with me full time. And to me, we've created this ecosystem. It wasn't easy, right? It was discipline, consistency with data to get there. But we've created an ecosystem where basically we learned how to invest properly. When we profited in those investments, we created financial literacy and we diversified them through an ecosystem. So a couple books we read, Richest Man in Babylon. I studied it inside and out, Cash Flow Quadrant, right? So as we made income, and so we think about the American dream became the American trap, right? People buy a car and they do a 74-month loan and they're taking away from their future self, right? So we reverse engineer this. We did everything backwards. So when we started to make money, we pulled the profits, we put it in things that secured, compound, and grow. And then we repeated that process. So my main goal over the past 4 years was to make sure that my family was taken care of by assets. All my debts and non-negotiables are taken care of by assets. And then all my earned income now goes back into the asset pool, right? So I always teach people, first, you have to understand financial literacy, right? You have to understand what money is. So we spend 40 hours at work away from our family, and you and I get paid. If you're in a 9-to-5 job, you're trading time for money. And the only way you can make more money is to give up more time. And when you get paid, we're paid in someone else's debt. In America, there's no money in the system. It's all debt. So we transmute that debt into investments that are, either deflationary assets. And then we move them into things that secure, compound, and grow. And that's how you start to build freedom. And we just did it at a small level. So first, it started with my foundational principle. Like, what do I want for my life? Right? I want freedom, peace, and family structure. So in order to have freedom, I had to create companies. I talk about Jesus and God all the time. And so in corporate America, they're like, 2 things you can't talk about: politics and God. And I was our religion. I'm like, well, I can't work here. So my point behind it. So money represents freedom to me. And I don't mean that you can't be free without money, but it sure has helped using those resources to help our family be free so we can live the life that we want.
Totally. Fundamentally, there's something that everybody has been against, and that is, the wealthy, having money, things like that. It was always, for some reason, it became cliche in society to say that was bad. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, creating wealth and having it allows you to create that freedom to provide for your family, to help others that you want to help. Yeah. You can't help people if you don't have that financial backing and that ability. So it's really refreshing to hear that. And, obviously we're seeing this new wave of rotation with what it's okay to talk about now. Mm-hmm. A lot of it has to do with, awakening against the woke or whatever you want to call it. But the reality is people are now not afraid as much to speak their mind about their true beliefs. We're seeing, I think, a reemergence of faith, which is fantastic. Because once we reemerge with that, I think we have more faith in ourselves and our opportunities and abilities, and we're going to help society grow together. So, so many great things going on. Something that keeps coming to mind is systems. I love having systems in my life. And I know you have so many systems in your life, and that discipline and consistency, when you put actions to that, what do you create? You create systems. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about how you've created systems in your life that have taken some of the burden away from you and added time to your day.
Yeah. So all the companies that you work for, trading 9 to 5, have systems. That's why you're able to work there, and they're large organizations, right? So it started with an idea, and then somebody came up. So for example, Henry Ford started building cars, right? Well, he systematized the business, right? They created a industry, they created the chains, you put the tire on, these types of things, and he became the leader of that. And so it's with anything in your life. You need a system for your fitness. You need a system for your business. You need a system for your finances. And again, discipline, consistency with the systems creates freedom. So everything we do, my life is very systematic, which allows me to have a lot of freedom, right? I'm able to leave at 2:00 every day to be with my kids, even though we run all these companies. Then we build systems and processes within our organization so that I could scale up so that people know exactly what to do. And then also building systems and processes in a business allows you to sell that business, right? So again, it goes back. I keep going back to discipline and consistency. So once you're building a company or a fitness lifestyle or financial freedom, every single person has a system to that. Now, the differentiator between person A and person B is their ability to be disciplined and consistent with that system for a long enough time to reach freedom. That's all it is. That's all it is. So systems have to be I have a system for my life. My schedule is completely scheduled out from the minute I wake up to the minute I leave. And then, of course, it's open for my family. In our businesses, our team members know. We were just having a conversation with we have a new business that we created. And the conversation was, we have a lack of role clarity because we haven't implemented the proper systems where people know that if something is wrong. So you could tell that there wasn't a proper system in place, because the response was, oh, this person's supposed to do that. We're like, that's not even the right department. So we stepped back. I called the COO and I said, listen, we don't have a proper system in place in order for them to feel successful. So systematizing everything in your life. And a lot of people see that as like almost like over control, but it actually creates freedom because it's very measurable. I know if I'm eating ice cream every day, I can pretty much measure how I'm going to feel and how I'm going to look in the future, right? If I'm eating more paleo and I'm doing my exercise and my nutrition, I can measure how I'm going to feel probably on Saturday. And so that's the biggest thing, is systematize everything in your life. And it sounds like people think, oh, that sounds too rigid, but that's what's created freedom in my life.
That's awesome. Talk to me about influences. Where do you get your influences from, and why is that important to you?
Oh, I love that question. So there's 3 people I get my influences from. Well, number 1, God every day. So the 3 physical beings, God, Jesus Christ. So Jesus Christ every single day. Like I read the Bible every day. Miramata Musashi, the 5 Rings, and Marcus Aurelius. So those are 3 men that I follow on a daily basis, reading their stories, reading about their lives, reading about their discipline, reading about their consistency. And to me, I ask myself at the back end of every year, I do a self-reflection the last 2 weeks of the year. And I said, what do I really want to master in my life? I want to master discipline, consistency, and stoicism, right? So those are the three people that I really look up to, that I work to model as closely as possible, aiming for perfection, knowing it's not possible, but it should be the aim. So those are the three people that I really, really look up to. Of course, there's people within the business sphere. Would be Alex Hormozy. It's somebody I went through his first program, the gym launch program. Other people that Ray Dalio for financial. I mean, I love Ray Dalio. Someday I will coach with him. I'm working to manifest that. But outside of that, Miyamoto Musashi, Marcus Aurelius, and Jesus Christ, man.
Wow. That's an amazing group. So somebody comes to you and they say they're feeling lost. They're saying, Coach, help me out of this. I don't feel good in my heart. I don't feel good in what I'm producing for my family or for myself. If my family doesn't, if I don't have one, or they left me, or whatever it might be, they're hitting rough times. We know that getting yourself right produces the ability to get the rest of your life right. But a lot of people try and get that backwards. They try and fix their life before they, their business, their income, whatever, without fixing themselves. How do you approach somebody who's in that circumstance and help them start to pull themselves up and go after creating success? Because realistically, 4 years for you to build what you've built in those past 4 years or 5 years, whatever it might be, since 2020, when you really started hammering down, that's a short period of time to create massive success like you've created. What would you guide them with, and what would you say to them?
Oh, I love what you just said, because that's a great segue into it. So it started back in, December 18, 2006. That's when this journey started. So it was accumulation of 18 years to the point where you nailed it. 5 years ago, I finally realized I was looking for everybody and nobody saw me. I found myself and everybody found me. So what I would sit eye to eye with that person, knee to knee, and I'd say, listen, you're not looking for anything. You're remembering who you are and what you already have. So first we'd start from the inside out. It wouldn't be no more macro to the micro. It's micro to the macro. So I'd start to say, well, you can't see the forest through the trees right now. So what we need to do is we need to get our body back in alignment, right? You need to start exercising. You need to start getting some good food into your body. You need to start to build some self-confidence, and you need to start to, rewire your brain, like going down to origin. So why, being self-reflective, why am I in this position? What decisions did I make personally? Not blaming the world, not, oh, my ex left me or I filed bankruptcy. Why did those things happen, right? Taking ultimate responsibility for those things, forgiving the past, coming back into present, and starting from that moment on, whether it's an exercise routine, fasting, meditating, praying, and you start building the mechanism, your energy field, right? So inside. And then from there, you start to receive the things that are coming to you. For example, I have said we're going to build $1 billion ecosystem. I've said that, and I say it all the time on recorded videos. God already knows that's going to happen. I just have to do the work today, right? I don't keep bringing up the past. That's depression, right? I don't keep worrying about the future. That's anxiety. I'm as present as possible within this moment, doing the discipline, consistent activities I can do to keep my vibration as high as possible, and allowing the things that come to me to be presented as in alignment with what I'm going for. So for example, we just had a person that left our business, right? It was a very, very big piece of our business. And my old self would have completely spun out of control, panicked, but I was like, this is happening for me. It is not happening to me. So I'm so thankful for this opportunity for the person to do what they want to do. And it worked out phenomenal. Right. So I think that was a big thing. I would sit them down and say, listen, you're not looking for anything. You need to learn to find yourself and allow people to find you.
Amazing. Learn to find yourself and allow people to find you. Some incredible advice there. Coach, this is an amazing story you've been telling us here. Where can we find you online? Look into your programs, the Warrior Academy, things of that nature, so that we can do a little more research and possibly get involved with some of your programs.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So it's 3T as in Tom, 3T, Warrior, like Warrior Academy.com. Or if you type in Coach JV, Junior Varsity, Coach JV on Google, either one of those will pop up all of our information, our podcast, our programs, and all our different businesses and our socials.
Awesome. And where can we find your podcast? What's it called, and what do you typically get into there?
Yeah, the Coach JV podcast. Honestly, it's my little brain dump every single day. It's 2 to 5 minutes of motivation. Been doing it since 2017, Monday through Friday. I just get on there and just let it go. I just speak like what's on my mind. So I'm studying and I regurgitate information. Like right now, I'm heavy into the Stoic principles. So I'm teaching a lot about the Stoic principles and the Dokido and things like that. So it's more of just like a brain dump, motivation, inspiration.
Awesome. Make sure you check out Coach JV online and the 3T Warrior Academy. Coach JV, I have a question I ask all of our amazing guests on the show. And that's, how do you start your day with a win?
And right when my eyes open, first thing I do is pray. I know it's cliche, but the first thing I do is I pray. And after my prayer, I close my eyes and I connect to the field that I'm working to embody. For example, I have this, it's now 9 years. I have this 9-year plan of sitting in my ranch, right, on the rocking chair. I'll probably have a grandkid by then. I picture the SUV coming up, one of my little granddaughter or son jumping out, and I'm very visual. So I picture that. So when I open my eyes, I prayed my foundation with God. And then when I open my eyes, all things being presented to me are for me and not against me. And I trust the process, and it allows me to stay fully present and doing the best thing that I can do to move my family forward.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, it's almost a little meditation listening to you there. It's incredible.
Thank you.
So, Coach JV, it's great to have you on Start With a Win. We appreciate all you do for everybody. Thank you for being such a wonderful person. I wish you all the best. Everybody, make sure you check them out online. There's a lot to learn here, a lot that you can do for yourself by aligning with Coach JV. And Coach JV, thank you for starting your day with a win.
Thank you. Appreciate it.